working time to begin talking about figuring out how we're going to go about the unenviable task of hiring someone to be our superintendent after we are wrongfully abandoned.
You feel bad?
Betrayed.
Do you feel bad yet?
Not yet.
And as I have told a couple of people, the four of you have been through this before. Three of us, Tom and Nora and I, have not. So I'm going to now ask those four of you who have done this before, what happens? How does this work? What decisions do we have to make? And do you want to talk? And Tony said all he knows is what happens from the point of view of the candidate. So I wasn't going to ask him.
And again, if you want to speak freely about the process or anything else you would like, step out, I'll step out. You want to stay in, I'll stay in.
Well, if people start feeling edgy, they'll wave their hand and they'll say, could you leave?
Okay. Okay. Please feel free to do that.
Who's the guy on? Oh, that's Tom?
There's
Hi,
Tom.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay, he's at work.
I can start with just
Okay,
what I remember.
that'd be
We go
good.
around. Well, we kind of decided the overall process. We used a company, recruitment company to gather the initial candidates. We did interview different recruitment companies. And if we go that route, then when the time comes, I'll share my perspective on pros and cons of how to weigh that decision.
About whether to have a recruitment firm, you mean?
Yes, we used it, yes, but we interviewed several recruiters. And we then we also had a process that involved.
Can I ask you something before you get going?
Yeah.
Was the whole board involved in all of this, or was there some
Yes.
kind of committee work or? Okay,
I think that there may have been some leadership conversations to present us with these decisions. Carol Kenobi was very helpful in that position. She's no longer available to us, but she had been through the process a few times before in her HR background. So we may have an HR, more than assistance and aspects. But yes, I think, I don't know if we had training or what, but we definitely had like stuff about employment law, like you can and can't do things, sort of, so we didn't inadvertently ask questions that were known to be problematic questions, violation of HR law. So there was some of that, and we had our process at that time involved some community input from, I think, from superintendents and from other education stakeholders. That's not required, but we opted to do that. Sort of by invitation, but semi-public. Like I think it had to be public because they're public meetings, but we also really invited. And you were on the board, yeah. I can't remember if you were on the board.
Linda, you,
Yeah.
Sherry, and Vanessa were on the board, and the three of us were not.
And we took the feedback of those groups and also conducted our own interviews. We narrowed it down to candidates. I think we narrowed it down from that input and then interviewed a subset of the candidates and made a recommendation based on this, all that.
Okay, Sherry, would you?
Well, I think the first decision you have to have is how big a search you're going to have, who you're going to choose. And when you choose that person that helps us, then he's going to take us through that process. So we don't have to decide now we're going to have community members or who we're going to have or what questions we're going to ask. You don't have to decide that now. I think we just have to decide what kind of process we're going to use. And I think I've told each of you, I think that we have an assistant superintendent that's doing a good job. But I think we still have to do some kind of abbreviated search, even if we were to hire from within. I think just for PR. And so having just gone through a search a couple months ago, we hired a company that was quite expensive. It was like $32,000 or something. And everything was after that, they had a little package, and after that, the package got bigger and bigger. We had about, I think, 26 applicants. We interviewed about 6.
Was the search a nationwide search?
Yeah, and I. Search.
No, I just wanted to know in
Yeah,
terms of
and
understanding what you
We
did.
never got anyone other than Washington and Oregon.
You never got anyone?
Just people from Oregon and Washington. Everything I read is that there's not a lot of applicants. When I found out from our search, there's not a lot of qualified applicants. You'll have a principal, a had served in a district office. Well, you don't want that person. You want someone who has experience. And I think in this position, someone that has superintendent experience. Definitely, district office. So I don't know what our budget is, how much is in our budget for this search, but it can be quite expensive. And I don't know if our HR person could, if we decided that's what we want to do, if she could do that, if we hired Carol to do it. I don't know,
To do what?
an abbreviated search. I mean, I think that South Lane got a very qualified person. I don't know if we had to go down to the next level. I think he was it. And when we did the search before, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, Andy was one of the two people who had him in, we hired. Yeah, so, yeah.
And it took a longer time, like you said, because we interviewed the firm, so they
Yeah.
came and presented and we chose.
And
those
we
were an
found
extra
out there's
couple.
not a lot of firms anymore.
No,
And I absolutely told my board in South Lane I did not want to hire those people because they had taken us through the last search and I was chair then I was very dissatisfied.
Can you say why without being too
Well,
scurrilous?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they've had such a turnover. I don't think they have anyone that knows what they're doing. But, so we decided we were gonna hire this person, and the chair and vice chair went in, and we settled on a price, a salary, on a Monday night. And I'm headed over to Florence on a Friday, and I get a phone call from, help me, Tony, on the guy that you guys hired to negotiate.
Tim Kiwi?
No, the
Oh.
ESD guy from Portland.
Was this Paul?
Anyway,
Oh.
he calls. And I call our OSBA representative, and he says, oh, I'm at dinner, I'll call you later. He never called me the whole damn weekend. And so that, we're trying to negotiate between this person who has lots of experience and me, and OSBA never did call me back. And I just felt hanging, and I just felt they did a really poor service to us.
Vanessa, you want to add?
I think it was just a very involved process and I'm not sure it needs to be that extended this time. Especially if we're up against a time crunch.
Especially what?
If we're up against a time crunch and when he leaves.
It's
Or
less than,
are you willing to not leave until we find someone or?
Yes, but the plan would be, I'll state today that. June
Okay, we
30th.
have that written down, he's staying.
I think he's going to
until we find someone.
June.
So,
I mean, pretty well,
I
you
want a
need
smooth
to
transition.
be on the date, into December 1st of February.
Yeah.
Because you're interviewing in March. Yeah. And
Are we
hiring.
leaving in June? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, people need to get notice to the current.
Oh, yeah,
Possibly.
I agree with a lot of what has been said. I don't agree with, I agree with a lot has been said, but I also don't agree with having a big search firm. I think we need to have, I don't know how we want to go by it, but there needs to be someone within our connections in Lane region or outside of Lane region, but maybe in Oregon.
Familiar kind of.
Familiar,
people.
yeah, because, I also know, from talking to people that, as that was times Lane ESD wasn't anybody's favorite. And, it has really grown and you hear good relationships. I hear nothing but good things of what Tony has done and what ESD has done and how satisfied they are And I worry, and then I worry about, some of the growth that, some of these big districts that may feel like they can provide some of the services we've been providing, and it may ask, we need someone that has relationships with these superintendents, these districts, so
Yeah.
it needs to be an ordinance somewhere here, somebody.
Someone that's been in some of the rooms.
Yeah,
before, you know.
Yeah.
You know what ESD is.
Well, you know, what I'm hearing actually is a lot of agreement among you four. Nora, do you want to chime in with any particular questions or perspective? I mean, you don't have to, I'm just kidding, I'm just inviting you. And I caught you. while
I've
you're
never
chewing,
been
I'm
on,
sorry.
I've never been, yeah, a meeting, and I've never been on a search
We
team,
can't
so,
hear her.
huh.
There we go.
There you go.
I
Okay,
said I
try
have,
again.
the only, I was on a hiring team once in college, but, I mean, when I was working for the college, but nothing of this scale. So I have nothing to add, other than, yeah, I think I agree with the idea of, what are we hearing, possibly just sticking to Oregon or even maybe the Northwest.
How about you, Tom? Do you have anything?
I mean, I don't have a strong enough grasp on what the position takes to feel very opinionated on it. I've done a little bit of hiring committees, but I have faith in how the process seems to be going.
Okay. I mean, I have been on a bunch of hiring committees because of being in the law school. I mean, I've been through hiring so many deans. And I have not been directly involved in a presidential search, thank goodness, but I've been through a lot of dean searches. I have the same skepticism you all have about hiring firms. I mean, when you get it to a very elite level, I think you have to do that because you have to go out and drum up candidates and you have to maintain all kinds of secrecy because of all the politics and everything. But I think we have to figure out who administers stuff. If we decide we don't have a committee, we have to decide who administers stuff. Somebody's got to take in
Chair goes in.
well, no, but someone who is not the chair is going to receive the applications. Well, if she has to, I mean, I don't think we assume, I mean, it could very well be the chair with the help of the admission, but I don't know what her workload is. I don't know whether, I'm not gonna assume that right off the bat. I mean,
That's just how generally saying.
yeah, I understand, but I just don't wanna make that
Yeah.
assumption here. I mean, she's new and,
I think those.
The only thing I'd say is, I believe you could, with different firms, work out the services that they would do or wouldn't. And that's where the price would either go up or down. Yeah, and again, from the outside where I was applying, remember, I was sending my application to a web page that was on the site of the firm. So, I don't know if that went to, back then it would have been Julie, or somebody in their firm looked it over. I know when we've done some of the searches for our director spots, they've handled the paperwork and then they turn it over to us,
who is they?
the firm.
All of the firms that we consider were all former school district executives of some sort. So they were fairly familiar with school districts, like qualifications, and what the firm would do was basically screen for minimum qualifications and make sure that the people were eligible to apply for the job based on the criteria that we've established. So they didn't do a lot of vetting beyond that, just like the firm, whether you hire a firm or not is one question, or which firm you hire is a different question. If you go that route, whether it's a firm or an individual or whatever, the thing that I remember about the process that seemed relevant was that the capacity to recruit a diverse array of candidates varies quite significantly. And it's an important question to ask whomever it is that does the recruitment, what their qualifications and their experiences are, to reach out to all potentially qualified people who may or may not know if this is a good place to work. This is basically my law work. I don't have any advice about who to do that now.
Does George still
No.
have his business? No.
And when they put their resume in, they'll tell you who they hired in the last year or two.
Yeah, but asking that question is. I just didn't know very much about it myself, so listening to them talk about it was helpful.
Three firms that I get things from is so again, there may not be more, and there may be more than this, but OSBA be one where I receive, openings just because they send the superintendents around the state. Human Capital Enterprises is another one that's led by Hank Harris.
Have to
I see
read
his
some
emails
stuff.
on our.
Yeah, and then the third one that I get is mostly Washington districts, but it's Northwest Leadership Associates. Somehow I'm wondering if that's the firm I
What is
searched
a,
before. It sounds familiar.
No, it's from Roseburg, he was an ESD person.
Yeah, okay, but those are the three that I know.
well, what, just sort of, this is just a brainstorming kind of question. If we didn't go with a firm, because, and I'm suggesting we think about this partly because some people expressly said they don't much want to. And even those who haven't said that have said 2 out of the 3 that have been mentioned are not very desirable, so it doesn't sound real hopeful. What are our alternatives for having someone administer this? Is there a matter of hiring a former superintendent who with administrative support would do it, or what do you think about having Morgan doing that? Is that awkward because it's the internal or the
I
charge?
think you have to decide how big research you want to have. I was on the LSD board when we hired Jim Green. He's working as an intern. We did this national search. We spent thousands and thousands. We got one guy from Illinois that came in, and guess who we hired? We hired Jim Green, you know? And so that's just an example of, all that money we wasted.
Well, I don't think anybody's much wanting to do that, but we still, I'm doing just more a very basic, I mean, at a practical level, we have to have somebody who runs this.
I'm very sure executive would be confident to do that for sure.
Huh?
You would be confident to do that.
But is it appropriate to have the HR director running this for to hire the person who's gonna be?
Oh,
that
no,
person's
I think Tony has an opinion.
Yeah, so my opinion is it's appropriate to get some assistance from our current folks, like some HR assistants and maybe some executive assistants. But to run it, I would think that would be, there could be some potential conflicts. Also, given what they're already charged to do with our agency and keeping ourselves staffed, I don't want that overlooked. Because that's kind of their main job. This would be side. So my recommendation would be to look at some firms, but see what levels of involvement they can, or what they can potentially delegate to some folks. I think some delegation to some internal is different than one whole thing.
Oh, can I also point out that it's an RFP, we're hiring somebody to do a thing. They can be a firm, they can be an individual, they can be Joe off the street, I think, it's anybody who says they're a person who can hire superintendents can put their qualifications forward and consider whether they are. But we could make the RFP quite, or whether it's a formal RFP or an informal, or, I'd have to go and look at the actual contracts to, the policies on the contracts, exactly what the name of the process is, but we're gonna spend money on a thing, and the amount of money may require us to do a certain sort of process, but probably, whether it has to be public or not. Make it open, right, because there's that sole provider thing, like if somebody's,
Yeah, there's definitely would be competition to want to do this.
Yeah, so we have to consider people's proposals. So essentially, we have to interview a firm, whether it's, one person show, who's like offering themselves as a consultant, or they have a nice stationery and an office. They're still just people applying for money to do it. So we just decide what we want.
What is our budget? Do we have?
Ooh, you know what? I don't know that I went into this year. putting that exact amount in. I think we can, take from the, let me see if I can find what our budget was last week.
It is not insubstantial.
Yeah, I think there's,
Thousands, not hundreds.
yeah, you've got, you guys have controlled the spending for conferences. So you're gonna have some money left over there. And I don't think it was an election year, so there's gonna be some money there to do it. Let me see if I can get a ballpark.
Do we want to just sort of this is a straw vote thing, just to see how we move along on this. How many would favor having a geographically restricted search to Oregon candidates?
I think Oregon is so unique.
Yeah.
I could go either way if you don't go too far away from Oregon, but I'm strictly, I'm biased when it comes to out-of-state workers. I mean, but in certain positions in our state, but I would like it strictly to Oregon to start, but if we don't get many candidates, sometimes you have to push it out.
The last superintendent for the team just before Jay was working in Washington. So he was from Oregon, you know what I mean? So I'd be kind of like, well, maybe we want, but we include knowledge of Oregon education systems as a qualification or a valued attribute in their characteristics. And then, you know, we're screening folks out and we see this person never worked in Oregon, has no Oregon experience.
Well,
Don't
there
worry.
was a bunch of retired generals. That's what the law school got as dean candidates, retired generals.
Well, I think they have to have a degree in education.
That sounds like an example.
Or is for the administrator's license, or is it superintendent's license? Yeah.
Superintendent.
Yeah, you have to have an actual license, so it doesn't fall under it.
Superintendent's license or administrator's license?
That's
Or
your
the superintendent
There's a
license?
superintendent one, you have to administrate with the ability to get a superintendent. Yeah, you need a superintendent license.
So has
What were you
Eric
gonna
talked to
say,
you, Tony,
Vanessa?
about applying? Would he apply?
With who?
Eric, is he planning on applying?
He's interested in this.
What were you?
Have you trained him enough? We might have to keep you on longer.
I don't know if that's
Do you,
helpful to
what
answer.
do you think of a geographically restricted?
Like everyone else has said, Oregon is very unique and we see what has happened when people from other places come here and maybe, it doesn't live up to what they think and there's a culture shock and I mean, and it's not like that information will be restricted from people seeing the job application. It's not like this is not available to anyone outside of there, it's just the investing in what's a local press about it or
And we can probably utilize OAESD to help do some certain, right, or maybe, or
But we're down to Sam Breyer's doing the executive directorship, he's down at half-time. The former director, Gary Peterson, might have some insight in terms of knowing how to find folks for ESDs, but he's no longer working with OAESD, but he's working with small school districts. Or
Isn't he who did our search?
Are there people? Are there people, I'm thinking of like Carol Kenobi or something who would be, no, really, there might be a really good person to run the search.
I think she'd be perfect, she knows the thing.
I think she'd be good, the question would be whether or not she would want, right?
Yeah,
I have not asked her, or talked, she has checked in on occasion, and I've checked in with her, and Morgan's checked in with her about matters that still, ESD history and what she knows, she's willing to step in and help us with those things.
I think
can't answer this.
we'd have to promise her good administrative support, so that she didn't have to do a lot of.
But like Rose said, if you threw an RFP out, or you put an RFP out, then you would get the firms, and you might see whether or not she will. I guess we could ask her to.
For reaching out to specific.
I mean, I don't want to
Because
just
I mean,
do an
I'm not sure if
RFP
it's
and
not-
see what we get if we think there's people that we should go down and trying to recruit, just like we don't want to just wait for applicants
Right.
for the position. We want to say, we want to find people that we want to recruit. We do that.
Did I get COPA does that? But they keep track of jobs,
COSA has a administrative
websites.
website, yeah.
I
But
don't know how much posted, they probably still doing some, but what I do know is they're not doing salary comparison, and that is very important, at least in my book.
So another, yeah, I mean, salary is important. We did talk about salaries for this process. There was a negotiation towards the end, we had a range. And then there was a negotiation. But the other piece that was what I observed through the process, and through this whole 9-year experience, almost 9-year experience, is that support and buy-in and trust of the area superintendents is critical. So how we move that process along, I think that they should feel like the person that we end up, somebody that they want. And so whether that means that they're involved in the process at some level, so that they can always have that scrutiny and decide for themselves, or we have a representative or some other way that we invite people in. I do think it's important that the person arriving in the job has the initial trust and buy-in, even if it's not a person who I actually know, they've at least had a chance to get to know and suss them out, you know, the fact that you've had previous good relationships with superintendents definitely earned you, you know, a lot of trust and respect as you were learning the new job, you know, and that's, I'm sure, helpful. So that I will say, I think the community buy-in, you know, our relationships and partnerships change all the time. It might be helpful just to think through what are the like really critical partner relationships and partnerships, whether it's other government entities, whether it's educational partners, whether it's other private sector, whatever, with all that we do is probably different than it was 9 years ago. And so that might be a committee task to consider, like sort of nuts and bolts of hiring process that we want to go through. With an eye for the person that we arrive being as successful as possible, and the hiring process not being delayed. So that would be my reason for making it a little bit more time for labor intensive, not a lot, not asking for the whole real deal, but like enough, so that our important critical stakeholders have that.
Feel a little bit of ownership over
Yeah.
Feel an ownership over that, and feel like that the person's coming in is their person, that they trust that person.
So you mean the person coming in who's running the process, or who is the superintendent?
Who's hired?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, the whole
definitely.
point is that we hire a great person and that person has the conditions for success from the get-go.
Well, I mean, I think when you further get down to the point where you've got your final pool, you've got to say, okay, where there are interview groups
Yeah.
that people talk to,
Yeah.
that each
Yeah.
candidate talks to, and then they give feedback to the search committee. But that's quite a way,
It is.
quite a ways down.
And we did do a,
We always did a very thorough job. We may not need to do quite as thorough a job,
Yeah,
but we
there
did do a
was-
very thorough job. I think there was 3 interviews.
There were, yeah,
Yeah, so it was a
pretty,
lot.
pretty intense, but it was,
Well, I know the students need interviews.
they were partners there.
Just 1 second,
Sherry.
Thomas has his hand up.
Time sent, but Thomas, okay. Leslie, quick.
Thank you. Yeah, the only thing I can think of to add is that I'd love to see somebody with both rural and urban experience if possible. I also think that I echo the sentiment of the Oregon, knowledge of Oregon is helpful because sometimes we have people here come in and then do a good job and then leave. Maybe we could try to get someone who's rooted.
Somebody who wants.
They're rooted.
Rooted.
So one of the things I would encourage you to consider, I guess, maybe today, or we can roll this over a little bit into the regular meeting in terms of maybe some decisions, we can't make decisions right now. But really encourage you to think about the timeline, think about maybe backwards. But because I think probably the right time to have somebody accept the position, probably April would be the latest. March maybe being ideal, but April would be fine. And then that means that you're going through interviews probably in March. And it's posted January, February. And so we're looking at January posting. It could be in December. So we've got a November meeting, you have a November to December meeting. before, so you've got 2 more meetings after this one. So
Well, we have a special.
you can have special meetings if you want to do that. If you want regular meetings, regular work sessions, you can go November.
I think we want to post it for January. That seems way too
Close to
late.
December. But you meet early in December. Yeah, but I guess consider the timeline in terms of what you.
We'll also need to update the job description. I mean, we may not have a huge thing, but we have to kind of approve it. So that's something you
You announced your intent to everybody else or just the board?
Well, we're in public now.
I was gonna say,
I've
we'll be
announced
at
it.
OSBA in November.
It'll be announced. This
It's
meeting.
probably no
It's on this meeting's agenda. You guys
So the word is gonna start
It will, it'll be out.
getting out there.
Yeah, it might have leaked out already with staff. I think there was some interesting thing on last June, so it's definitely out there, and that's not a bad thing, and it'll be official. I hope it's official.
So we're allowed to talk.
Yeah. I plan to- You need to talk. Yes. Encourage you to do that.
Well, maybe Todd wants to abandon South Lane and coin toss it and come DSD.
They would not be happy with you, Sherry. Although Sherry knows how to pick them, so you got a good person there.
So,
Most of the time I did okay.
I guess that's Sherry. So what did South Lane do in terms of, how did you decide to go to the firm? How long did that take? Was it the board leadership that decided to bring that forward?
No, the whole thing came to the board, this was resumes and
Of the firms? Okay.
you sit down with the resumes and how much it would
Yeah.
cost.
That's the way we did for yours.
Yeah.
Kathleen's.
Okay, so
I
that,
don't think there's any avoiding that. I guess if we're gonna spend money on somebody to do a thing, whether they're a firm or somebody that we really like, there's probably a requirement that we have a public notice for, we're gonna spend money to hire somebody to do a thing. Contract.
And at that point, you can probably decide how big of a search you want to do.
But we can keep that pool small by just only offering a little bit of money, you know? So, I mean, what would be helpful is to get an idea of the scope of, what the range of recruitment costs could be to an external person. Like, so we're, not unreasonable. If that's something, it's a really good capacity to let us know, that would be useful, because then we could.
that's what, I'm just thinking, taking down some notes of things we, yeah.
Thomas, I saw your hand.
It was up, I lowered it because he had left it
Oh,
open.
okay. So where are we?
Do we need to have board involvement to approve an RFP for a search consultant for?
Depending on how much money we will, then I
Well, just
think we
to-
can go out and spend the amount of money, right?
I'm just wondering if procedurally
I
that,
think we do if it's a full procurement, we have to make that decision.
but
Depends on how much-
if we just authorize the ESD
Oh, yeah.
to put out an RFP
Oh, yeah.
that, I mean, that can't be that diverse of a RFP. I mean, like, how many options can there be, right,
Right. Also, if you're looking at how much you're looking to spend to different procurement requirements, or fewer requirements depending upon the amount. So it sounds like what would be helpful is if you look to do a work session in November, that a list of the firms, like contact information for those folks, whatever their resumes are, whatever their statements that we can gather.
Yeah.
And a list of the prices that they made.
Maybe see
We
what our
need those
pitch is
files.
too.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you wanted to do a special session at the end of October,
I think so.
just for that purpose only,
Yeah, I
and
think
have a
so.
work session like a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
That might be worthwhile. Maybe we talk about that in a regular meeting. Make a decision about scheduling the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be helpful to have that information, because that might get moved forward, maybe to,
We'll figure this out.
well, can we make a recommendation on a work session, or?
You have an agenda item under this,
Okay.
where you can take some action. Regular meeting. It's actually an action.
What action are we taking?
That I'm not sure, but I think the action would be maybe to schedule a special meeting where you would go over you direct your superintendent to go and gather.
We can
Special
direct
meeting.
you to go gather some information for us. Okay.
Yes.
And at a
then
special,
you
at a
s- then
special
you-
meeting, we can make decisions.
Yes.
That's what I was.
And yes, and you also can call for, you can make decisions in regular session to have that special meeting with the sidelines. So we have that on the agenda.
Maybe we could put Morgan on that.
Yeah, Morgan and Maria and myself.
That's
Team up.
fine.
We team up.
Right. Anything else? Okay. We have 2 minutes to finish eating.
Okay.
We have time for a bathroom break.
Yeah.
Time for a
Are we
bathroom break.
adjourning?
So we're adjourned?
Yes.
Ready to
Call the regular meeting to order. Start cameras. All right, let's see, let's first introduce our guests. Is there,
Lori in the audience.
in the audience? I can't see.
Yes, Lori.
Could Could you please introduce yourself since I can't see you?
Oh, yeah, my name's Lori and I'm just here for LTEA. Somebody comes every month and takes note, and reports back. So that's why I'm here.
Glad to have you in person.
Go ahead.
Oh, we're guests. Anna Quintana Arias, Director of School Improvement here at LESD. Cassidy Mitchell, the other Director of School Improvement.
Hmm?
Atlantic College. Next. Just you and Vanessa and I have.
Well, would you like to read it?
I would be glad to read it.
Okay.
Lane ESD acknowledges that the lands we call Lane County, the lands that sustain our children, our future, and our collective well-being, are the traditional ancestral homes of the Calquia, Sayusla, Molala, and other indigenous people who have lived in Lane County since time immemorial. Native children, families, and communities bear witness to a legacy of displacement and forced relocation. As an educational institution, we are accountable for addressing the current form of silencing, erasure, and genocide of Native people of Oregon and Eastern land. We aim to join the indigenous people honoring their resilience, courage, and self-determination, and with this hope, Steve.
And then this says.
Oh, you got the minutes.
Okay, all right, I was thinking about that. Okay. This is an opportunity for the audience to address the board on topics on or not on the agenda. There will also be opportunities for the audience to comment on specific agenda items as the board addresses them. Is there anyone here who coming to make a comment?
Did you like it?
Okay. Our next item is our presentation about the Migrant Education Summer Program.
You don't have to tell us to wait. We're excited. Do you want to go to that? No, here, we'll move it. You go
That's right, we added the podium to the room.
Yeah, so we have a gift for you. We have a gift that is joy and love and light. Here we go. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank
you. Your book. You have a here. Come look.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, come back. Oh, you have a really.
We should pass those out after our presentation. Now they're gonna be distracted.
Yeah. No. This is a choice.
Well,
This is perfect time. Oh,
Okay.
we have more.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
So way back, 7 years, 8 years, I don't know, back in time when I started. And it was when I said, oh, the board would like to hear about migrant education program. So nervous, I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna say? And I don't know if you remember your first public speaking experience. It wasn't my first public speaking experience, but it felt that I was so nervous. And now I was just waiting, like, Tony, what is it? Return, come on. So we're ready, and great partnership this year that we're gonna highlight. So our theme this year, every year we have a theme, we have a guiding question that really centers the work that we do, the curriculum that we create, the stories that we tell. And this year it was Somos. And Somos means we are, right? And there's a narrative out in the world right now as to who we are, who the migrant children in our communities are. And we said, oh, well, no, thank you. We'll let you keep your stories. We have our own stories. We're gonna tell you who we are. We're gonna show you who we are. So next slide, please. And so this year, that's how we started. We started with storytelling, right? Storytelling of us. Who are we as the educators that are creating this space for students? And in that first picture, you'll see this tree became a thing of its own. And the way that things come up every year, that something inspires me. Sometimes this one was in like the middle of the night, I woke up, I was like, I got it. Other times I'm somewhere, right, and things click. And this one, I was laying in bed just thinking about that, right, about who we are, and thinking about who we are as individuals, as a community, but as a migrant education program. And our program serves so many purposes, right? It really centers the students that we serve. Our program is by them, for them, with them, right? With the students and the families. And the other part is, what do we do, right, as a program? So our program provides shade, right? When things are really hard and you are tired, we provide that shade for folks to sit. We nurture families, right? So much like a tree is able to provide some nourishment, we do that. If they need, branches to build a house so there could be some stability, that's what we do. If they need those branches to build a boat to move on to the next phase, that's what migrant education does. We are that tree within that community that really provides that love and that care, based on the needs of families, which are very, very, very diverse. And so this tree came to mind, and within that tree, the storytelling part came around embroidery, right? And a lot of Latin American countries, we storytell through our embroidery, whether the colors that we use, the patterns that we create. And so we said, everyone's gonna embroider. We're all gonna tell our stories through embroidery. What does that mean to you? Who are you, right? And we're gonna do that through some ancestral learning, and that's through embroidery. And gotta tell you, when I presented that to the teachers, no one was very excited about that. And there's a lot of, right?
They were bad.
They were bad. The kids were like, oh, yeah, to do it. And I was like, oh, no, friends, you think it's a choice. It's not a choice. Let me tell you what you're going to do and why you're going to live it. And a lot of us had never embroidered before, right? And as time, went on and the kids began to embroider, the adults got very excited about it. And it just became a beautiful experience. So that's what that first picture is, and it shows that Kristen Knorr, who is our principal, her regular, September through June job, she's a principal at Springfield, at Dos Rios. Gabriela Costa is our binational teacher liaison. Lane County has hosted her. This is the second year in a row. She supports all of the binational teachers across the state that come and support students. And we are honored and privileged to be able to host her. And so she's with us, and she provided professional development for us that day. And there I am. And then we have our 3 binational teachers that came this year. And every year I talk about how great our teachers are. But sometimes it's mind-blowing how incredible they are. And that's who these 3 incredible women are. They were phenomenal. Every time I turned it, they were doing something, right? And creating other things. And we were at Fairfield, like the lights went out. It was like 9:30 p.m. We're building a massive doll to death. Around 9:30, and we were still there, and like the lights went off, and I said, no, you just have to wave your arms around, like let's turn on. And so it was just a fun experience. And so that's them. And then Cassie, tell us a little bit about your picture.
Okay, so I was one of the reluctant embroiderers when it was announced that we were required to embroider, but I work with on year round, so I knew that it was not a choice. Right? I'm gonna do it. It was a very beautiful experience to watch people adults having to be learners in a space where we expect kids to put themselves out there all the time. And to see adults supporting other adults through that process. And then it just got really fun. And they started to be displayed, and everybody kept, and I'm so proud of mine. It's actually hanging in my office right now. Stop by and see it sometime. It was a beautiful part of the experience.
And that's Kat's, right? That what she embroidered is Cassie's story. And so that's her very fun, right? Everyone had to tell their story. That's not who we are. Here's some images of a couple of things, right? One, I love this group of boys. As you know, our program runs every summer, right? And so these are students that are from multiple districts. And yet every summer, it feels like a family reunion. We all get back together, right? Hey, I haven't seen you. Maybe you have, right? Maybe the student, was in your school for a minute and then they left and they came back. And so it's just a wonderful time for kids to get together. And you always see this group of kids always grow. Their group always grows because there's a new student that they welcomed throughout the year. And so that migrant community continues to grow and flourish. And they look so calm. They're a loud bunch back there. And they're in the back corner. And I asked, and I was so nervous. And they're like, oh, we're gonna go to my tree. And I just told them, I said, let me tell you this tree is right, a beautiful shield. And I said, so we need you to please protect this tree. It is our tree. I need you to protect it. Nothing happened to the tree. Nothing, not one single thing. Because as you can see, there's hummingbirds and butterflies on there, those monarch butterflies in particular. are a symbol of migration, right? That they come from Michoacan, specifically from where Gabby Acosta is from. I had the privilege to visit that sanctuary last year. I don't even understand how those things exist in the world, but they do. And that's the story of migration from our butterflies, right? And it's generational, how they cross from Mexico to Canada and back. And the hummingbirds, talking about the story that we shared with our staff and our students around the legend of the hummingbird, and the hummingbird, as small as that hummingbird is, right? That drop of water that they carry to put out that big forest fire, they're just doing what they can, right? And that's our role. We're gonna do what we can, no matter how big or how small. So those students really did a beautiful job protecting our tree because they understood the value of that. Down below on the bottom, on my right over here, it's the first grade classroom. And another beautiful thing about our program continues to be the involvement of not just the folks that we hire, but their families. And so pictured in the back is the mom of our teacher, and in the front is the grandma of our mom, of our teacher, who came and supported our students with embroidery, right? So this is an intergenerational experience. That's what our summer school is. It's about everyone gets to be welcome, everyone gets to learn from each other, and that's the beautiful part of it, that it's not, come be a volunteer to cut laminated things in the back, come be a volunteer to show your knowledge, your skill set. In the middle, we were at Fairfield this summer, and they this year got a vending machine, and so I asked the principal if we could please borrow the vending machine one day, and we filled it with all of our books, and every class came and they got books, and so it's a picture of that, of those kiddos. And then these two pictures up here are around family engagement. We had every summer, the third Thursday is our family engagement evening. Again, led by the teachers, our summer school teachers, our binational teachers. And they go all out. And to be quite honest, there is a fear this year around attendance and participation. We had our highest enrollment rate ever, which was wonderful. And our family showed up for our family night. And not only did they show up, they danced and we laughed, right? And we learned a lot. And the beautiful thing about our family night is that it's embedded within the instruction that we're providing to our students. So this year, it was about La Guelaguetza. La Guelaguetza is a big celebration that happens in Oaxaca once a year, where it's about sharing and giving of the gifts of each community. So in Oaxaca, the state of Oaxaca, Mexico, there's the major city, the capital, and then it's surrounded by multiple small communities. And so those communities come every year, and there's a big celebration, and they bring the things from their community to share as gifts to others. And so we did that. We celebrated that with our families. They each created, all of us, right, as family unit, created a gift. We put some seeds together and a plate and just different items, and we wrote the gifts that we ourselves have as an offering to someone else. So for example, my husband was with me, so the Arias family offered to another family the gift of love and joy and generosity and curiosity, right? And so every family was able to do that. So families love it. They love coming, they love being there, they feel safe, they trust us, and that is essential in this time. And so that was extremely successful. And then all the learning that happened, can't even begin to tell you. I've told you year after year of all we do in elementary, but I really want to highlight what happens in middle school.
Okay, so if you've ever run a summer program, you're probably familiar with the dilemma, what in the world are we going to do to keep 90, 60, 75, a large number of middle school students highly engaged in a learning experience? Because as you know, the summer program is a supplement to the students' learning, right? This whole program is designed to acknowledge that there are gaps and missing experiences in a student's learning experience when their parents move in migration for the work that they do. So we had the question, how do we keep middle schoolers busy, thriving, and engaged in their learning? But another problem we were able to think about is the problem that we often have in career technical education, which is how do we get middle schoolers connected to CTE programs? How do we do that, right? And that's something that we talk about all the time. And this felt like the opportunity to feed two birds with one brain. So we launched a middle school CTE experience. Now, this was a this was an exercise in trust, because we had kind of a false start with this last summer. You might remember, we put together a CTE-ish experience for middle schoolers, and it wasn't as cool as this year's was.
It was a great dream.
We had a lot of learning from last summer to work with. And the biggest piece was that we really needed to invest in our staff, right? And so we, as a Lane CTE team, handpicked CTE teachers from across Lane County to work with our MEP students this summer. It is a privilege and it is an honor to come into this space and to do this type of work, and they understood the memo. Now, by an astonishing coincidence, which turned out to be kind of the crux of why this all worked, many of those teachers happened to work at Willamette High School, and the Bethel School District very graciously let us use their brand new state-of-the-art CTE center. Todd came on a tour, wasn't it awesome, Todd? Yeah, it's beautiful. I still can't believe they let us use that facility. It was amazing. So we had 2 teachers for each cohort, and we ran the students through a 1-week experience in each career learning area. So we had culinary, we had digital arts and manufacturing, and we had woodshop. Now, embedded in all of that was business and entrepreneurship. That was particularly important for the families. That is something that came from family engagement. We want our children to understand how businesses are developed. How do people run businesses? So we were able to infuse that in all of the career learning areas. And then one thing that we didn't plan for that happened that was awesome is that the CTE teachers that we had in each of those career learning areas got to know the students, got to know their home districts, and then connected them with the CTE teachers within their district, right? So they were like, oh, you go to school in Springfield. Well, it's Mr. So-and-so whose class you're going to want to take. And of course, they were able to recruit for their own programs from the students that they were serving as well. So it was an awesome experience, I mean, right? Like, it was really cool. We had a great time, and thanks for coming on the tour, Todd. It was really great to take you around and show you what the middle schoolers were doing. It is a terrifying experience to have middle schoolers in workshop, I will say. I lost a little bit of sleep over that, and they were really, really awesome. They rose to the occasion. They recognized the confidence that has been instilled in them the entire time they've participated in the program. The expectations are very high, right? And kids rise to the expectation, and so do adults. So it was very successful and super fun. I like my summer part of the program.
And they do rise to that expectation, right? And because we have to rise to that expectation. And so what we do as educators, especially within our professional development, is that we really talk about what type of community are we trying to build for our students. We only have them for 4 weeks, right? It's you blink and it's done and it's over. It takes us a year to plan it and it's gone so quickly, but it's done with such care and such intentionality so that kids, our students, our migrant education students, often are faced with, well, you can't, right? Well, you can't for whatever reason. You can't because you're gonna move. You can't because you don't have the funds. You can't because language. You can't because whatever. You can't because of all these things. And in our summer program, it's, you really can't, you already did it. You didn't even know that you already did it, right? So when kids say, I can't take a CT class, what do you mean?
Do you remember the first day of workshop? They're like, no,
It's
and
a
then by
very-
day 2, everybody was on the bandsaw. I was like, okay,
And they're
wow.
building things
Yeah.
the game, tic-tac-toe, I think is whatever it is that they built. Like that was extra, right? They built extra things because they were so engaged. And that's what happens, right? So at the end of summer, in particular, our 8th graders that are coming into high school, you already did CT. We don't have to fear CT. You already did it, and look how great it is, right? So let's go do that. And that's the beauty of our summer school. And so that was 3 weeks. Oh, and on the Fridays, every Friday, they came and they showed. So for example, in culinary, they had a cake wars kind of a thing, right? Demonstration.
Yeah.
And they came and, you know, sometimes kids bring things and I'm like, oh, I'm I'll try it. And I'm like, oh, no, you should take it. It's okay. But kids were very insistent that we try things and I had to try the things. My goodness.
I know, it was
I
really
was
good.
so impressed. It was good. Those, I've never had a cupcake. It tasted like shortbread cookie with a cupcake texture. I've never had it. It was very delicious. And they made me a keychain and they talked about how appreciative, like it, beautiful children, love them all. And that's it, right? They come back and they say, how can I do this again? Please keep this again, right? So hands down, incredible experience. They definitely want us back. They want what we're doing. We want to continue. And then so that was 3 weeks. And that last week, we kind of had a little hodgepodge of things. We continue to partner with Marine Arts. We have that throughout all summer for our younger students. And for our older students, they had a music class, and that's what that top picture you can't see right there, but they learned multiple instruments and they wrote a song. And the song was themed Somos, right? So they also created that. So everything is embedded, nothing is random, everything is connected. And especially when it says describe your contact at the bottom, I'm gonna tell you what that is. That is not an error. That was not something I didn't delete. That means I'm gonna tell you what our content is, Cassidy. And that means that our core of all of our students, well, since preschool, right? Because they're 3 years old. We have a lot of little tiny babies that our summer school is their first school. And we actually had, I believe I shared this with you a couple years ago, but we did have a student. We have one of our teachers is a teacher because of the students, right? Because they're a preschool student. And they took their yearbook to their preschool every single day, and they looked through it every single day, and the teacher's like, well, what is this? And he would talk about it. And that's why she came and applied for it. She said, I need to work where our kids want to be. And so she's been our teacher. And so this year, again, we had many little 3-year-olds come. And of course, there's, tears within the day, but then they get over that. We're good. They have a really good time. We're a play-based school, so it's very engaging for them. There's never any forced sit down, we must do. No, it's play, and we're inquiry-based. And one of our little 3-year-olds at the end, when he's like, but what do you mean I can't come back? Right on the last day, so it's like, it's my fun school, it's my fun school. And so from the little teenies to our older students, right, it's a space where they want to be. And because we're up to 8th grade, this year we also piloted something for our high schoolers, because our high schoolers want to do that. Last year, we had a unique, beautiful problem, which is that we had a lot of high schoolers come without telling us that they were coming. They just showed up and like, we want to be here. Like, okay, we're gonna figure out what to do with you. And we made it work, but it wasn't great. And so this year we hired a retired teacher to kind of coach them and guide them and mentor them. And we put them in classrooms, and you go in and give them feedback and do some modeling, right? And so there's a lot of work that we're able to do. We have the teacher pathway there. Yes, that's where we're going. We're building that bridge all the way over there. But we had one student in particular who last year came in as an 8th grader. He said, I really want to volunteer. And so we had said no 9th graders volunteering. Age gap is not wide enough, and so it's kind of clunky. But what do you do when they show up, So I said, okay, we're gonna figure this out, we're gonna make this work. And he's a musician. And so he says, and I said, well, what would you like to do? He's like, I want to teach the kids how to play an instrument. Great, let's figure that out. So we got him in 2nd grade class. MEPA. It's a nonprofit here in town who teaches music to kids. They lent us guitars for a whole classroom set. They borrowed them from lots of different places because we didn't have enough, so we played. And so he taught all the kids how to play and how to sing a song and how to be in rhythm and chorus. And it was so beautiful because that first day he comes back and he's like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. They're 2nd graders, but they're hard. Why are they so hard? And it's just, I don't think they're listening. Maybe they just don't like me, right? And so we go to put this whole narrative. And at the end, long story short, he got a trophy for being like the best person, right? It was beautiful. So our kids want to be there. So we are working on what do we do for our high schoolers? And so the plan for this year is to figure out how to give them credit, right? And so we're working towards those pieces. And yes, pathways, what does that then look like? So there's a lot of beautiful things that are going on this summer. And then we had Mercado, and I know a few of you were able to join us. And again, our theme of Somos, and it's so funny because we built this tree. If you know me, I like to do things a little bigger. Last year it was a turtle, right? We had a flying turtle. And when the teacher said, how big? I'm like, big, no, like bigger. And so when we set a tree, and I said, okay, but you see, like we're in a football. It can't be a little tree. So this tree, I don't know how many yards, but it was, I bought out, I had to buy at every single Walmart with a lot of the fabric because there's no more deerlands. So I was out of luck with that. And so you could admire it from up above, but it was hard to tell what it was when you were down below. So that was also a trust exercise. And then with each ring, right, are the virtues that students said who we were, right? And then around each ring was the embroidery for a classroom. And so it was a tree of who we were. We also were able to partner with an incredible local artist and muralist, Stephen Lopez. He's done several murals here throughout Eugene, and he worked with our high schoolers to create a mural. As you know, we have a mural within the MVP office. And so we needed a new one, and that's what they created. And this is all student led and directed. He gave, coaching and tips on the process and explained how things work. But students decided to honor their family, right? This is what this means. So you can see the hardworking hands, right? That the hardworking hands are caring for such delicate things, which are their children. And they work from sun up to sundown. And the worker bees are their parents. And of course, again, the butterflies, right? And the tree, because it's who we are. And so they came up with that to honor their families and to thank them for what they do, right? They are in the migrant program because their families work very hard with their hands, and that's gratitude for them within that. And also we not only hosted our binational coordinator, we also were the closing ceremony for our binational exchange program. And so we have the Mexican consul that came and spoke with us, and we have Dr. Mary Martinez Wenzel, who is the director of the Office of Migrant and Multilingual Students in ODE. You can't see the picture because it's covered right there, but Carmen Urbina is the third person in. Carmen, as you know, has always been the champion of migrant education. She gifted me with so many things. She had this role before I did, and so it was such an honor to be able to follow the work that she's done. And then she left this role to go work at the state and now in 4J. So she's always been a champion and supporter. So we really want to honor her. So it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And you'll see a lot of pictures of that within her book. And are we done with? I think we're done. Yeah, we're done. Okay, so one more. Great, let's do one more. Oh, okay, yes. So here's some images, right? Of that. And part of what, as Cassidy was saying earlier, we as educators need to be vulnerable and put ourselves out there and be learners as well. And Cassidy, we did something fun this year in Mercado. Tell us about that.
Right. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yep, in addition to making us all embroider, Anna made us learn a dance that was really complicated. And we practiced a lot, and I'm not sure we pulled it off, but Rose.
Let's see.
What do you remember? I didn't take video.
All I remember is this. That's all I remember.
It was pretty
You were
complicated.
very enthusiastic. I know, I have to be. Yes.
Yeah. And so it was that, right? Again, how do we put ourselves in those spaces? Because if we're asking kids to perform, we need to be able to do that. And so it was just a really beautiful experience. And another positive that I want to highlight here, besides again, just gratitude to Bethel for letting us use the facilities. Also, gratitude to you, Todd, because we were able to have students from South Lane come. And that prior to COVID, we had 2 summer programs. We had one here in the East Springfield area, and we had one in South Lane. And COVID happened, so that kind of went away. And for many reasons, we've just maintained this group here. We do have our binational teacher come down to South Lane and provide instruction to students every year. Big dream, future dreaming. I would love to be able to, have a program again in South Lane. The program that we have here is specifically designed for the students that we serve. And so we're every year adapting our curriculum to that. And the community in South Lane is beautiful and unique. And so I want to be able to.
And large.
And continues to grow.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that we have curriculum specifically designed for them. So that's a later conversation. Just know that it's coming, it's thinking. I'm thinking about how to get all those pieces together. But thank you again for that support and having students come. It was beautiful. They had a great time. There's a picture in there. One of our students, I remember when, it was our family night, so I was wearing a dress. or don't wear dresses often, a couple times a year. And she looked at me and she said, Anna, there's nothing sis on, you look like a princess. And I said, ah, yes, of course, thank you. And when she showed up to McDowell, I said, ah, you look like a princess, you're beautiful. And so, again, it's those spaces where we're able to highlight, what does it mean, right? How do we define beauty standards, right? How do we define our identity? And so you'll see some of that. You'll see it kind of down here with some of our students and our South End students, right? Our 3 students that came down. We're here and we're able to do that. So it was just, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. If you haven't been able to come, please, we invite you to come next year. We'll tell you where that will be. And then the very last thing that I want to share with you is in the very last 2 pages, we also have our graduates, our high school graduates from this past year. We were able to do a tiny but mighty celebration for them. As you know, our grad rates in higher education, they tend to increase. The only group that tends to have higher rates than us is CTE. So we are joining those 2 pieces so that we continue to grow. But here are pictures of our graduates from all over the county. One of the students came from Roseburg, right? We have a couple students from lots of different, they came, but there were different down from their schools. And we just had a really, really great time. And this was also a great part. Thank you to the Wren, because they were able to fund some of these pieces that we were not able to fund. So thank you to them. That's the thing with higher education. It is a community that sustains us. CTE provided a lot of support, both in people power and in curriculum development and supervision, and also in funding, as well as the Wren, to be able to do that. The summer learning program, grant, right? Lots of different areas for us to be able to do what we do in a very, very fast month that is life-changing for our students. So thank you for your continued support, and more to come. Every year, more to come. Okay, thank you. Any questions for either of us?
It's too bad you're not very enthusiastic.
Well, if you gave me another half an hour, I could tell you more details, but
Great job.
tell me to keep it short.
It makes a great example, like you didn't use any jargon, you know? But it's like you're just totally showing how like culturally sustaining practices actually result in student engagement in a very authentic way. And you know how important that is. It might not threat to anything. It's just like actually makes kids want to feel welcome at school. So I appreciate it.
And I think it's nice family feels that way too, because when you look at these last pages, family's so involved.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with our school, our Kennedy school. The families are so involved with those kids.
Was a reader present. All right, well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How are you gonna follow that?
I'm gonna be really boring.
Especially we're gonna pause.
So agenda review, is the agenda as set out
Is
tonight?
that set up? Yes.
Okay. So we get to action items. The first thing is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are the minutes from our last meeting and the HR report. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move for approval.
Second. Is there any discussion?
Very thorough minutes.
There no discussion. Everyone, please raise your hand if you approve. People, Nora and Thomas, do you register your views? Thomas, Nora,
Nora's raised her hand as well as,
what did you say?
Nora has raised her hand. I haven't seen Thomas.
Okay, I'm just looking at the thing up here, and I don't see anything.
There's.
I'm sorry, what is the hand for?
Approving, or if you approve of the consent agenda.
I do.
Okay. All right.
Can I just briefly, Rose, you moved, who seconded?
Sherry moved.
Oh, Sherry,
Vanessa.
okay.
Okay. The next item on our to-do list is to review the financial report. I would like to have a motion to approve the financial report.
Looking at the financial report.
Okay, it's been moved by Rose,
Second,
seconded by Sherry. We don't have Olivia with us, so.
Olivia is absent, she's on a well-deserved vacation this week, so she won't be here, but she did submit a report that's attached to the board book. And what we see in the report is that we're tracking pretty closely to where we were last year. I think we've got a little bit less revenue that's come in by this time last year, and a little bit, but also less expenditure. Actually, a little more revenue, less expenditure. Ending fund balance looks like it's tracking right now at about 6.2%. Those are some highlights from the financial report.
Any questions for Tony?
Oh, for this year.
Yeah.
Okay, hearing no further comments, please raise your hand if you approve of the financial report. Okay, everyone's hand is raised. Thomas's hand is raised and Nora. Okay. Next item that we have to do is to adopt the 26-27 budget calendar, which we was presented with last month, as I recall. And are there any changes from last month?
No, this remains the same as it was in draft last month.
Okay. Motion to approve the calendar, budget calendar.
And Rose moves. Approve calendar.
Rose moves to approve it,
second,
and Sherry seconds it. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, please raise your hand. All hands are raised here. Thomas's hand is raised. We also have to appoint budget committee members. And I think that we have not appointed all of them, but we have one to appoint. We have 3 vacant positions, Zone 5, and then 2 at-large positions. There's one request for reappointment, and that is Robin Zygatis, who is who was in position 7, has applied to be an at-large member. And so we need a motion to reappoint or to appoint Robin Zygatis to the at-large position for position 7.
Rose, I would approve the.
Second.
Okay, Thomas seconds it. Any discussion? Are you raising your hand?
Yes.
Okay, discuss.
The only thing I'd add is that we will continue to advertise and continue to recruit members for the other 2 positions. And so hopefully we'll have some folks who will want to take those roles back.
We're Zone 5, yeah.
Is. let's see if I can find it. I don't recall which somebody is. Can get that out to you tomorrow. The other 2 are at large. Is Zone 5 Eugene possibly? Might be. I think it's near Eugene.
Lake County.
Says Lake County. I can get that one. I can get that out to you soon. Those.
Just so we know where to.
Yeah, so where you know where to recruit.
Okay, there being no further, did we vote on that? Not yet. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to appoint Robin Zygatis as an at-large member, please raise your hand. Is that a hand?
Appoint who?
Robin Zygatis.
Oh, yeah, she's currently on.
We're reappointing her.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, everybody raise their hand who was physically present. Now the next topic is grants, and you remember that we are supposed to approve grants before they are applied for, and we have, just one, I thought we had two.
We had two as of our meeting last Wednesday, but one did not get submitted.
Oh, okay, we've only got one.
We only have one.
And I will let Tony talk about it.
This is a collective impact project, which sounds pretty involved, and I guess it is, but it's
Sounds
really.
like a bunch of people meeting somewhere.
Yes, but what it comes down to is it's a grant for $30,000 for the next 6 months. We haven't applied yet, but we intend to apply for this. And if we are successful in landing this grant, the money would go primarily towards supporting material and other costs that are associated with our component high school district manufacturing and culinary classes. So it's a lot of materials and supplies that we're applying for that we can use regionally. The collective impact comes in the fact that we're getting it and then distributing it here to several.
Did the district apply for it?
I'm not sure how we get it out to them. It possibly comes out through our CTE consortium meetings about, I don't know the details of how it goes. But we get it here, and then we do meet regularly with our CTE.
The ESD team will facilitate these connections by connecting pathways, needs, assessments, recruiting partners, developing budgeted projects. So it's like our staff will be pretty involved in developing.
It supports things that we've done already, like our the construction projects we've had, you know, the Team Oregon build across the county, things like that. But I think it's geared a little more towards manufacturing, culinary, this kind of thing.
And who is this application being made to?
Lane County.
I mean, who's providing the funds?
Yeah, who's the would be funded or funders?
Says Lane County on the,
I guess it's the county grants.
which means it could have come down
I don't know whether it already.
through federal, like title.
For long, they will.
Yeah.
Apply for it fast, Tony, before it goes away.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, we haven't, with respect to money would be there, but we haven't put the application. Getting it right.
Chair, the motion.
I would like to have a motion.
I move to approve the application.
Second.
Okay, moved by Rose and seconded by Vanessa. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Everyone's hand has been raised. Okay. The next topic is board responding to our superintendent's retirement announcements. You should say anything.
I guess I will say that I've made a decision that after 41 years, I'm in my 42nd year of public education, the 9th here at Lane ESD, that it's my desire to retire at the end of this year, meaning June 30th, 2026. And this decision is being made not out of any reason for wanting to get away from this agency and the wonderful things it does, or the wonderful people I get to work with within the agency and throughout Lane County. It just has to do with the number of years. And I told Maria it is time. and I think it's time at this point to step away and find some other things that I might try to do. But I just wanted to make that announcement and ask the board to, I guess approve that. So like you already are starting to make some plans. I think
I don't know.
actually you don't.
We have tried to figure out if we can, what happens if they don't approve it? And apparently nothing.
Kick me out the door like tomorrow.
Yeah,
or
I
let
guess-
me stay till June. I guess I'm asking you to
so.
let me stay till June.
All this is doing is saying it's okay to stay till June, but we can't make him stay after that. Is there a motion to accept the superintendent's retirement plan? Whoa. Is that a motion?
I move that we accept the notice of retirement of Superintendent Stringer and extend my sincere appreciation for your many years of dedicated service to this district and its students, staff, and community in all the 41 years of work.
But we were the best, weren't we, Tony?
It's been a great experience. It's been a
Is there
they've
a
all been-
second?
I don't accept this retirement.
Oh, okay. Someone, would someone like to? Okay. Although you don't have to vote for it.
I'm not going to.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Let the record reflect that,
Wait, should I, I'm sorry.
that only, that Rose, Vanessa, and Leslie voted yes. And Sherry did too, and Linda's saying nope. All opposed?
I abstain.
You don't.
Nora,
You told me you can't abstain.
Yes, you can abstain with the
You have told-
explanation. Yes, you
You
can
didn't,
abstain
you told
on
me I
anything.
couldn't.
I don't remember telling you that.
You did.
Okay, jokes aside. We have one abstaining and everyone else is in
Where's
favor.
your pass?
Oh, I abstain also,
Okay.
They're
or as we
so
say,
many months
stand,
left. I've got-
stand aside. I stand aside.
Yeah, till June 30th. Thank you, Nora. Real smart.
I look forward to many months still to go. We've got a lot of good work. ahead. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tony.
See, our next topic, or next decision is to approve of the new employment agreement with members of the management team.
I think we gotta do a work, do the search work session.
Oh, I skipped over that, sorry.
Wasn't that-
Oh, we did have a work session before the regular meeting where the board discussed the beginning of how to begin and get going on the superintendent search. And the first thing that we have decided, which we are now going to vote to approve, is to ask the superintendent with the aid of his staff to get us some information about
Recruiting a hiring firm, making the
a
process.
hiring coordinator. Do I have a
And
motion?
I think we were gonna add a special meeting.
Well, I didn't think we were gonna do that at this meeting.
Yeah,
I think we have to, how about we move to have a special meeting for the purposes of discussing your hiring firm, and then we have the meeting and.
Okay, so we're going to also, so this is a two-part motion. One is to direct the gathering of information, and the other is to set a meeting at some specific date to be determined in late October, to act on that information.
because we really need to hire someone in November. We need to have that's in gear.
Just to comment on the business of October, not that I want to slow this down, I want to make sure you can maybe pick a date because we're moving rapidly. Next Tuesday is the OSBA Fall Regional Meeting here. And then there's a Tuesday after that, and then the 28th is another Tuesday, and then you have a meeting also in November. Thinking maybe that October, I was looking at Tuesdays, I don't know if Tuesdays are good nights for everybody, but thinking of Tuesday, October 28th, maybe a week before the November meeting, and then the November meeting, have a work session. I guess to take the next step, it's a suggestion.
Everyone want to look at your calendars?
Either one is fine.
I have Mondays free too.
So October 28th?
That was a suggestion.
I just think if you do it that late, then it doesn't give us time to really have them give us a proposal to pick someone in November, does it?
Well, we could also go to the 21st, that would be, that would give us 2 weeks to gather everything, and it sounds like there's not a whole lot of firms out there, so.
Well,
don't
we
need to
need the
gather.
proposal before the meeting.
How about the 21st, that might be.
Well, then it would, in terms of what Sherry said, 28th gives them one more week to make a proposal.
I think that on the 21st, what we'll do is we'll give the parameters of our search for a hiring committee person, contractor, whatever, and approve a procurement process and the parameters of that process. That you remember? And that Tony and others will bring information to help us determine, like, how much we want to spend and.
I thought more was just to get proposals. And then from those proposals, we can
Like a-
gather from there what we want.
Hold on a second, everybody. Someone please make a motion to have a meeting on the 21st. It's always amendable. On the 21st, and get it seconded, just so we're being proper here, and then we can go ahead and figure out what we're doing.
I move to have a special meeting for the purposes of discussing hiring process for and search for superintendent on the 21st of October.
Yeah.
16th.
Second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Everyone in the room has raised their hand. Okay, now, let's discuss.
I'm gonna raise my hand with a
Are we
question.
receiving
Oh,
proposals?
wait, one second.
This is a I just.
Go
Will
ahead, Nora.
I attend that meeting on Zoom because I have another meeting late afternoon? In Florida, well, actually, it's on Zoom also, but it's. What time is this meeting gonna be? I couldn't quite hear all of that.
It'll work for you.
6 p.m.
That'll work,
It's-
that'll work.
we can do a Zoom. Okay, so we have two different visions of what it is we're trying to have accomplished by the end of this meeting. One is that we will have, before the meeting, received proposals from potential management entities, and then I suppose at this meeting, choose one, right? And the other version of what we're doing is
Deciding how much we want to spend and what we want to ask an applicant to run the hiring process to do.
well, how can we send out a request for proposals if we haven't already decided what we've asked them to do?
Right, that's why we were gonna, my understanding from the work session was that we needed to have more information about how much it costs to hire a firm to do this search for us, and, like, and wanted to articulate the, essentially the RFP or whatever the appropriate procurement terms. But if we can move faster with that and don't need to have a meeting to get an RFP out, then I'm totally fine with empowering our chair and vice chairs to work with the superintendent to make those choices. So like, yeah, I'm not trying to slow us down, I just.
Well, what do you all think about allowing the executive committee to, working with Tony to draft the RFP?
Yeah.
If we have one for 9 years ago.
Just ask your
Which may or may not have anything to do with what we want to say now.
Yeah, but I think it was just that we needed a little time to collect a little bit more information about how to go about this process, because the last time we had an in-house person who had done the process the previous time. And I don't know that we have that now.
It's clear that we don't.
Right, and so we may I just thought we might. I think y'all can figure it out and then tell us what to do in that meeting on the 21st, we'll do it.
I'm wondering if we need to, what you've got is a committee doing this consisting of Vanessa, Tony, and me. Only one of us having done this. That is
I
to
would
say
certainly
Vanessa.
volunteer.
I was thinking that we might have somebody who would agree to.
I have some information requests first, though, to help me prepare to also recruit. I need our current contract, fully current contract of our two superintendent assistants.
This is not for recruiting the superintendent. This is
I-
for the hiring.
I know, but I need that before the hiring. I need, because you gotta compare those numbers and I'm getting ahead of the game, but I need that, Maria, put that in the record. I want that request so I can. Yeah, we can.
So the current motion is to have a meeting on the 21st. We are gonna empower our committee to determine what needs to happen in that meeting.
Yes.
And the public notice will let public know appropriately, because it's gonna be a special meeting, so we're noticing and all of that. Can we approve a alternative date in case you need that extra week? To do it on the 28th? Like, can we say, have a special meeting or no?
No. I'm sorry if I answered for you.
Well, we could.
The more meetings, it belongs time. We could stay later on the 21st, if that's okay with you.
Well, I think what she's saying is that, our noble, administrative staff may not have had time to gather all of it by
Oh,
the 21st, in
oh.
which case we needed to go a week longer. Is that right?
Is that what
I
you
think,
said?
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give y'all time to do what you need to do so we can get everything done. when we-
Well, you might be part of you all.
We're all part of it.
Huh?
Sure, so anyway, I was just trying to provide us enough.
I mean, you're a
flexibility.
much more useful part of you all than I am, for example.
Oh, you have if we don't require that flexibility, I'll just, the motion is as it is.
Well, we have 2 candidates right now. Possible, we
We
only
can
have start.
We can, I mean, if we have to, we can always do a, do properly announced telephonic motion to move the meeting to the 28th.
So much fun.
I know.
So we keep them
bureaucratic.
both, the 21st and the 28th?
No,
Just.
okay, we'll keep both of them, then we'll cancel the 28th. There you go. Then it's got the solution. We've got meetings scheduled on the 21st and 28th. We would hope to cancel the 28th.
Okay.
Okay, so I repeat my motion as amended with it,
I think.
21st and 28th. So second, this?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So everybody clear on what the motion is?
It'll get easier after this.
Show up on the 21st at 6 o'clock. Right, that's the first.
Show up on 21st at 6 o'clock. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All the hands are raised. Now, composition of this committee. Who are going to need help?
We talked about the executive committee and H&R.
See, I actually think I'm gonna be fairly useless here. I mean, I realize that I'm the chair of the board, but I don't know what I'm
At
doing, and
this point, all you're doing is getting proposals.
Well, you all have different views of what's happening. That's why I'm sort of anxious.
But you have,
Okay, we'll figure it out.
We just need to be able to meet,
you have your staff, so that,
we need to be able to meet in the middle of next week. And we'll have some things that we'll bring to that meeting, the 15th through 16th. We'll have some things we can bring from firms that are around
yeah.
that will start seeing scope, start seeing cost, and decide then what we bring to the full board on.
You okay with that, Vanessa? Okay, all right.
Have trust.
All right.
Great, so I think we still have to go.
No, we've already.
Oh, we did
gone
vote?
through that.
Can't keep track.
Okay,
So we have voted on the motion to set the special meeting for the 21st and October 28th at 6 p.m.
Right.
we're doing the 21st and 28th,
Yes.
and
28th at 6 p.m. That is the motion I have that we voted on.
Don't you see the confusion? Conflict?
Okay, great, that's what we meant to vote on.
And
and we did vote on it,
Yeah,
Yes,
we all know.
yes,
so we're done.
right, okay.
Okay,
And
That's the only motion I have.
Rio will work to coordinate the committee to meet.
okay. Management team agreement. You will recall that the bargaining has already occurred with the staff who are represented by the union. And this is for the employment agreements for the members of the management team who are not represented by the union. And I will turn it over to Tony to explain it to you.
So for the past 7 or 8 years, I believe each time we've looked at a management agreement, it has matched what we've done with the Lane County Education Association. This recommendation varies from that. We did get some financial information between the time we settled with LCEA and the time it came to the management agreement, which by the way is retroactive back to July. So we're a little late with this. I'm a little late with this. But the recommendation is that it be the same insurance increase for the management team that LCEA received, which is about a 3.4% increase in the insurance contribution and an increase in the insurance opt-out from $300 a month to $500 a month. A reminder that the opt-out is actually a win-win for the district and employees. And then as far as the COLA, cost of living advance, the recommendation is that most of the management team, except the program administrators, receive a 3% COLA. And we provided 3.5% for this year for LCEA. And then as we did our comparisons, our program administrators, as we did the comparisons throughout our county and throughout some other like-sized ESDs, noticed that we are fairly well compensating our program administrators, so that's why it's only a 1% recommendation. Again, we talked years ago about trying to find our center and not be completely at the top, put it at the bottom. And so this calibrates some things with our comparables and also does some things internally to create a little bit of space between our levels of management team. So that's the recommendation for this year. It is a little less than what we were than what we settled with the LCD.
Maybe a good motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Sherry, seconded by Rose. Any discussion?
Is this the first, is there negotiation with the program administrators, conversation? Is this the first I'm hearing this?
No, that's a good question. The management team was informed of this, I think, a week and a half ago. And each program administrator, just prior to that meeting, was also involved in the conversation.
I mean, no doubt people like to get raises and so on, but thank you for that context.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that, yes, this was discussed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I
all,
have a follow-up, I
Okay,
have
go
a
ahead.
follow-up of the management team. So the management team doesn't have a union, right?
Correct.
So this is agreement between you guys, between management.
Yes.
And so these salaries and these increases, the union get to hear about them, and it's not gonna impact layoffs that we're facing budget cuts or anything next year. It's all okay, but.
Well, it doesn't mean our budget's gonna be perfectly fine going forward. I'll mention that in the superintendent report. We have potentially some budget issues with the federal grant money and even the state that we're trying to deal with. We'll talk about what we're planning. But we're trying to kind of keep pace with our competitors at the same time, not quite at the same extent that we've done with LCA. We just have more recent.
And just to clarify, this motion would not include the superintendent or assistant superintendent?
Correct, we're not part of it.
any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All hands are raised in the room. Okay. The next action item is our ongoing project to fully revise all our policies. Steaming right along. And on the before you for action are some proposed changes to section F, which has to do with facilities, and the first half of section G, which is about personnel. You all got these, all these policies at the last meeting. And I at least have not received any questions about anything. I will ask if Tony or Vanessa has. The way we organize voting on these things, there are certain policies which are proposed as brand new. There are certain policies which exist and are proposed to be amended, and there are certain policies which are proposed to be deleted. If you want, we can vote on adopt, amend, delete, or we can do all of F, and then we can do half of G.
Can I just move to adopt all 4 components of 9.1 all in one slate?
You want to do, say what?
All components of item 9, because I don't know if it's 9I1, 9I2, 9I3, 9I4, like the whole slate. Move to approve all 4.
Second.
The whole shebang, okay.
I mean, if people want to pull out particular things and talk about them,
Okay,
I'm
that's
totally
fine.
fine with that. But if there's not questions or comments or concerns, then
You gotta wait for your review.
And you Has either of you got any questions or comments? No. Okay, we have a motion to approve sections 1 through 4 of the proposed policies. Here, second. Sherry seconds it. Any discussion?
I know now all we want to do is what? Vote no.
This is after we hate people.
Well, I need to read staff ethics,
But you had an opportunity.
but I've had we all need to review staff ethics, that's a board ethics policy. I need to review it again, that's the thing. We go ahead and approve them, I mean, I can put something in, I mean, they already. They're in here too.
All in favor, please raise your hand. All the hands are raised in the room.
And Linda, Director Linda, are you abstaining?
I gotta read staff ethics again. I'm sorry.
She's voting no.
So
I'm an
you're voting
ethics
no?
instructor, I gotta make sure I'm doing what I need to be doing.
Okay, okay.
That's not about.
So
you,
is it a
that's-
no?
It is about me, I'm a board member.
There's a board section.
I know.
But there's another board section that's about your ethics, so I'm saying.
I know, but this is staff ethics too.
Right,
We should know, as board members, we should know both.
I don't disagree.
So let me
Okay.
make sure I'm recording this correctly then. So are we, is it a no vote?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is yours a no vote?
Are you voting no? Yes. Okay.
I'm really no in time to get through all this stuff. I can't get through all this stuff. I really tell you that. My eyes don't even go that. I can't even read that. They're too little. It is, really.
We are now ready to have you look at the second half of section G, the personnel policies. Have they received the paper copies of those, Maria?
The ones, the first section or
No,
the,
the second.
it's right in front of them now.
Yeah, you got
Are these first reads?
Yes.
Okay, so good.
Thank you.
I thought I got them all.
Okay, so those are for next meeting. Okay, we will ask you, and if you have any questions or concerns about any of those, contact Tony or Vanessa or me. We meet the week before our next board meeting, which is the second Tuesday in November, the first Tuesday in November, so the last Wednesday in,
And I should be back for that.
let us know by the last Wednesday in October if you got any problems.
We're meeting on the 29th.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Awesome.
for policy.
I'm still on that.
Director Ken has a question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think that turns it over to you.
No, Director Ken has a question.
Huh?
Hi. So I'm looking at my section G and I looked at, the adoption for GA, GBK and KGC. So that's today, but then there's going to be more that another section G I see on personnel. Is that what's going to be? Oh my goodness. It just keeps going. It keeps going and going. But is that what we're going to be looking at for next week?
The
Or is
second half,
that, next month rather?
the second half of G, yes.
Okay.
And I
All right.
have those for you and for Thomas as well. Ready for you.
Okay, well, I'll see you. Will you be at the OSBA meeting next
Yes.
week? Okay, I'll get them then. Okay, thank you, Maria.
Yes, absolutely.
I jumped ahead on that, I didn't need to, but I thought it would be.
It's hard to keep calm.
Well, I
That's
mean,
okay.
but just sort of explain
Yeah.
people what the pieces
It keeps
are.
the policy together.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
well, that was technically a discussion, I have nothing actually.
No, it's moving to vote. Great.
No, we'll get-
Oh, who's the reports?
You get to report.
Go back, oh, okay. We go back, what Linda was asking about earlier, I want to surface as, kind of where we are financially. There are some still very uncertain, I guess, an uncertain future coming out of Washington DC with federal grants. I think we're in the middle of a government shutdown at this point. And not sure what that means, other than we still have certain federal money that is flowing and certain ones that aren't. And I don't know exactly yet which ones or where. This will be a point of, I think, emphasis for our Friday morning forums with the Coalition of Board of School Administrators, as well as this will be probably the hot topic on the agenda at the OAESD Superintendent Retreat next Sunday through Tuesday. What I can tell you though is that given the decrease in federal funding, there's also still some economic issues within the state of Oregon that haven't picked up much speed. That we're looking at a state school fund that we're being told should hold, but may not. And so I think I reported last month that we'd be unlikely to see a reduction, like a mid-biennium reduction in state school fund. I'm not as confident in that at this point. I do believe it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, when I talked about that LESD was going to go through a spending freeze. And I think one of our board members, maybe a couple of you, coined the phrase, well, it's not quite a freeze, it's a chill.
That was DHS really fun with that.
Okay, so as we go forward, Olivia and I are scheduled to meet next week. And there'll be some communications to our staff that we'll be looking at where we can find ways of kind of chilling some spending at this point. Things that aren't essential to operations. What we want to focus on, as we did before, is trying to be as cognizant as we can of the people we've got and the work that they do. And can they do it, or there are ways they can do it without as much materials and other things. That's the first level of what we'll look at when we talk about a chill. So we're in that mode right now of not panicking from what we're hearing from our ODE, from our governor, from our deputy superintendent of instruction. We're hearing more about starting to do some planning, and the planning might look anywhere between potentially a 2% shortfall, maybe a 5% shortfall. It could be less than that, but the idea would be to have a plan in place in case that comes to fruition. If it doesn't, then we'll be fine moving forward. We do know that in the Student Success Act comprehensive plan that we have, we are looking there at somewhere between a 2.5 and a 5% reduction. And that's where our school improvement team will get together and look at some things we can cut out. That there may be some contracts we can reduce. There are some other things. Again, we'll be looking at ways that we can plan for what's not necessarily known yet, but where we're going to potentially be in some economic situations for our attention.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any thought of reducing the thing that now is at 6.2%,
The ending fund balance.
The ending fund balance.
So what we're going to look at all different ways to be going through this chill. The board has stated that you would like to see an 8% fund balance, and we were working toward building to that. I think it's just a matter of what our operations are going to need and what we can do without it. It's too early to say, oh, we know it's going to be less, but I can't promise that we're going to be at 8%, same trajectory that we were hoping, which is.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
So I think that's something that we want to bring to the board as we are planning, let you know what our plans are.
That's how we can help.
Unfortunately, this is something we've been through
Yeah,
before. We have staff that
Yeah.
will walk through this.
Right,
I
absolutely.
don't want it to be a situation, again, it's not a panic, but we're looking at, we need to slow some things down.
Does the shutdown really impact much on our end? I mean, I know that like 87% of the education department is not going to work right now, but they already fired something like that, so I'm not quite sure how that,
Is that 80% in Salem?
no, in
No.
In DC,
the,
right? I
like,
was gonna
federal, I
say.
mean, they do like process the stuff and write checks to give us the money, so it has
The-
impacts.
Yeah, there are federal grants we have, and I think there are some that are still flowing and some that aren't, and that's where I don't know the specifics of which ones are flowing. Get through the maybe to see. So that's, and so we are going to still go into the short session in February, and you know, in all of the advocacy we tried to do in the big session, a lot of that had to do with special ed funding, and part of I think I'm going to be paying very close attention to trying to network at our OA ESD superintendent retreat in Bend to see where we are with that. That's still an issue with our districts, and it's still a pinch. And I don't know, I'm less and less optimistic, I'm getting very pessimistic that the state will step up and do anything to offset that in this current plan in the short session. And yes, we do a lot of work in that realm. It's going to be something to look at, see what we do about.
Could you give us a little more detail on that next meeting? Just it's helpful for us to be able to articulate the really specifics.
Yes, that'll be a big, again, big part of what we're looking at is the superintendent retreat, is that advocacy. What do we actually target? If this is too, if we ask for this, is it a waste of time? We ask. Okay, I guess moving to more positive news, last Friday here at the ESD, we hosted professional development for all educators from 5 districts. This place was packed. People were parking out on the lawn, people were parking over at Cutter's. We had Marcola, McKenzie, Mapleton, Blatchley, Crow, their entire educator, their whole educator team. They had a Friday professional day and our staff got to work with them.
The smaller districts.
It's just, yeah, and 5 districts that have aligned their professional development calendars. It's pretty remarkable to see. So that was really fun. We've also started long-range facility planning. We received a grant. I think we announced this sometime last winter. But that planning now is taking place where the Soderstrom architects are getting input from staff, getting input from our cabinet. It's looking like we will be doing some kind of presentation to the board in our January meeting. That's what we're kind of shooting for. This is involving our facility here and also at Westmoreland, state status, what state we're in. So we'll take that information and bring it here and you guys a chance to weigh in on.
I think South Lane going through that with them is pretty expensive with vacancies.
Well, yes, I'm not anticipating that what they come up with is going to be inexpensive, but they're probably, what we're hoping for is what we can accomplish with our budget and then what we would look to try to do in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not gonna be
Good
cheap.
idea.
I mentioned the OA ESD superintendent retreat will take place next Sunday through Tuesday in Bend. Also back here with our staff, we are going to be launching an upbeat survey, which will try to get feedback from all of our staff, all 300 employees, on leadership and management, instructional support, climate and culture, workload and professional balance, professional learning opportunities, and also team relationships and collaboration. It'll be open October 20th through the 31st. So kind of the second half of the month, we'll be seeking that staff input. And then we expect to get results from that survey probably sometime mid-November. Bring back some information to you probably in December.
Those all online for them.
Yeah, it'll be online for them to do.
Make it nice and easy.
Yeah, it's a company that specializes in education.
Yeah, that's
Might
right.
be of interest to the superintendent search.
It might very well be. Good fun.
Now, will we get a copy of that report?
You'll get a report in probably the December meeting is what we should. We'll
Okay.
get back into the And then also for the 3rd time in 9 years, Lane County Educator has been named State Teacher of the Year. Sally Golden in the Springfield School District and in the Community Transition Program also. So she's working with transition students there at right next to Dos Rios Elementary School. Had a celebration last Friday. It was a big secret celebration. Maria did a great job of inviting us and keeping it a secret. So Lane ESD did not spoil the surprise. Sally was surprised. And it was a great celebration. And, our former state teacher of the year, Nicole Butler, was there. And just I ran into Carrie Poden earlier today. So those are the three state speakers. Another fun thing going on here this week, our HR department has organized a fun fall week. It's the Spirit Week with adults here on the main campus. Yesterday was Flannel and Denim Day. Today is tie-dye and color expression. So I'm trying to be colorful.
That's the best you showed
I was on.
How long have you been like that?
I do have a tie-dye
I see you,
sweatshirt.
Eric.
I have a tie-dye sweatshirt. You should have seen
Well,
more.
this year Oregon does
Check
Grateful
that,
Dead
That's-
year, that's gonna be your.
So actually, HR organized a tie-dye coloring event Friday afternoon,
Oh,
and people were doing green and yellow.
And you had a chance.
I have a green and yellow. I
You
have
did this
I have a sweatshirt. But I didn't.
You knew tie day was coming up.
Tomorrow is positive vibes, uplifting message day. HR's got a lot of little buttons and stickers that people are gonna be wearing. Also, it's a staff potluck tomorrow at noon. And then Thursday is Where's Waldo Day. And Friday is Fan Friday, so.
Who's Duck Day? Who
Duck
is
Day.
Waldo?
who's Waldo?
It's
I know who Waldo is in the
Did-
book. I wanted
where-
to know who Waldo is here.
Well-
Oh, you just dressed up in the striped
yeah,
outfits and.
I was gonna nominate you.
I believe HR will also be hiding little Waldos all around the building. I think
It's
that's.
just gonna be the tail, right? Like, just gonna be kind of like full body socks, like just.
I have a costume.
I'm dressed up.
But-
Anyway, that's my report.
Okay, the next discussion item is the first reading of the next batch of policies, which I've already told you about. So just to point out, it starts with section GBL. So start with GBL and go to the end of G. We've just done the first reading of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll be voting on the next. Then there are some pending policy in section G. What is it? Am I supposed to do something with that?
That's still.
It's still pending.
So, yeah, what you see in there is, it's a thick packet. When you get to GBEA and GBEE, you'll see pending or on hold. We've asked OSBA what the current status of those policies are. When we received the policies from them that they recommended we move or delete, these were on hold. We've asked if they still are. I don't think we've heard a response yet.
Yes, actually, most all of those ARs are still on hold. They expect that they'll be hearing back from the legislature. 7 is one that we could act on next week or next meeting, but at this time, those are still on hold. And then pending, we're looking at some of the timelines
Right.
in our own policy.
Thank you.
Next, we just call for your attention, information from the administrative staff. And from board members. Huh?
The first like skills support dog, very exciting. I saw that on the report.
What did she say?
Life skills support dog,
Well,
therapy dog, they
It's a
call it.
service dog for specific
It's
students.
very
but it's
good.
in the life
We should
skills.
have one in this board meeting.
We used to, we had Lucy.
Oh. And board member
We used to
reports.
have Lucy.
My dog reports those.
And you wouldn't want Luna again. She's not Lucy.
And then, let's see, you have announcements and recognition.
I do not this time, but we might have some liaisons.
Right,
Yeah, no,
okay. Liaison reports. Dana has sent us something in
Oh,
writing.
sure. I mean, I could read it. Just in trying to kind of bring a highlight to y'all, at our last board meeting, Lisa Joy, our special programs coordinator, had to do the integrated guidance report. Like, she was required, but it was actually a good opportunity to kind of focus things. The
district was recognized as a state model for providing on-site and telehealth counseling to no cost to students, so even though we're small, we're, making a difference there. And then focusing our challenges really on attendance, and which we had been doing, before COVID, but then that dropped off. And third grade literacy targets, and I know the teachers are doing more training on that right now as well. So that's just our direction to look forward. Oh yeah, and continued CTE, which I'm glad to see was brought up here so much today too.
Yeah.
So everybody's on the same page for that. Great, thank you.
I will just tell you, Dan, my husband and I were just this week remembering fondly coming up to your district for the fundraisers for the track. And we want to know when you're going to start them again.
Okay.
We want to come up there and see the carvers and.
Yeah, they haven't been able to do the Chainsaw Festival.
Yeah, and fundraisers for the track, so when you're ready, when you do it, we're ready.
Okay, all right, I'll.
Good job,
basketball.
Good job, Bob.
We know there was those projects with the sheds, a few years ago, so just could come and see. Yes. Well, it finally feels like we're actually starting to push with housing. Yeah. So that's really gonna change. I know there was a lot of barriers to getting that started.
How are things in Crespo?
Well, things are going really very well. We've got off to a really good start this year. We're getting this, the area that we're going to put in the CTE building, we're starting to prep the area. And it's the bond that we've got, we're putting that in good use, and the state gave us, I think, 4 million, to pass the bond, and so we paid for all the fields we put in, and things are going, that CTE building, I think I told you before, we got the building free, and now we just got to put it in and stuff, and they're just starting on that, but we've had some, I'm not sure how to describe it, but some of the staff and some of the kids this year have really stepped up. One of the ladies on the our superintendent's staff started cheerleading in the 8th grade, and there was 22 young ladies that showed up for that. And now they come over to all the football games in the high school, and they get their spot. They do a couple of routines and stuff, and the enthusiasm is unbelievable. One of our young guys took over the football announcement spot. The teacher's retiring, so he asked if he could volunteer. He did a little bit last year. Well, this year the kid went out, hustled, and got the local skydiver to come in and bring in the football. We got a U of O singing group that was national champions last year come and sing the national anthem for us. I'm just amazed. We have a new principal at the high school and a new AD, and I guess those guys are really, I haven't heard a bad word yet. And the band, our band kids last year, I don't know what happened, we're down to 6. We have a new instructor, and we're up to 17 kids already.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're really doing well. And it just, the little things. A friend of mine has Parkinson's, and his wife asked me to move a bunch of furniture they have, but I noticed right away it was really heavy. So I asked a couple of kids, seniors, to come and help me move this stuff, and we got there, and I said, okay, we're gonna pay you guys for doing this. He said, no, you're not. We're just gonna do it because. And it's just been really exciting for me to see that these kids are, and some of the staff is stepping up and really making a difference. And like I say, we've been off to a really good start this year.
Sounds great.
Football
They
record's
beat
not very
kind of
good.
strong at football.
Pardon?
You beat kind of strong at football.
It's about the only picture.
You're the
That's across the table for you.
You're the UCLA.
We're two
high school
we're two and something this year.
That's a big one.
We're 0 or
That was
something.
so crazy.
But, and the attitude of the kids, playing ball, again, I've read for a long time, so you notice
Yeah.
the stuff, but I'm doing the chains or helping, and just to say the language on the field has really, really changed. There's a whole new coaching staff, and that's all.
The difference.
It's made a really, I think, a really positive difference. So it's exciting to be part of that this year.
So I noticed at the OSA meeting that they had this past weekend, that boys volleyball is now a sport. Do you have enough boys that would be interested in that?
They have a ton of girls, but I couldn't answer
Yeah.
the boys thing. I just don't, I've been to the 8th grade football practices, games, high school practices, games, but I haven't caught a volleyball game yet. I just don't have any idea.
Because when they sanctioned, girls wrestling, I mean, I think there's more girls that wrestle than boys now. So maybe, boys volleyball could do the same thing, I don't know.
We've got a huge wrestling program.
Yeah.
We got the coach from Lowell.
Oh, you're talking, Cardinal, was
What's that?
it? Is it Cardinal?
I think it's Cardwell.
Yeah,
But he's done really well.
Oh,
The
yeah.
enthusiasm for that is just fantastic.
that family is like generational.
Hit them down.
I'm always impressed with Fresno does.
Well, this year, it's, things have come around pretty good the last few years, but this year with, the enthusiasm of the new principal and the AD, that makes a difference with the kids. I think seeing the changes that we're making for the project, for the football field, the softball fields are all synthetic now. I think it's made a huge difference. It's starting showing what the kids are doing, rather than
Well, the
just,
way Mike has integrated himself into the community too, that's so positive.
yeah. And he's done
He really
super
has.
well, and what's impressed me is that he's doing a lot of, we got the bond, and we had an interview of several different companies to organize how we're gonna build the CTE and how we're gonna spend all this money, and the first bill they turned in was absolutely ridiculous. And Mike didn't sign the contract. He said, we're gonna do it ourselves. So now we have a guy on staff that's a contractor that is, got all these licenses for plumbing, electrical. So we're doing our own bidding. And it's all as many local people as we can get.
Yeah.
And the money they save is just unbelievable. And I never heard of that happening in the state. I've got to know if somebody else is doing it, but it kind of sounds like a lot of people just put a rubber stamp on it. And the total at the end of the day is the same total of the bond. And we're gonna be way, way under that.
Yeah, so many of those subsidy at 20%, just like the top, so you're saving at least that much or more.
Well, that CTE building itself, I don't know how many million that was, but we got the whole thing free. And that took a lot of digging. Mike had to find out who that was, because we're the third one in the state. We're not the first.
Wow.
But he does commercial stuff and he makes pretty good money, so he donates, he likes kids. And so
Does it do a track field?
Pardon?
Southway needs to be.
Hire superintendents.
Right.
Or the playground.
That I don't.
Good pitch, Rose. Good pitch. So, Erica, what have you got to tell us about 4J?
Oh, can I start with the bad news first?
It's your,
Yeah,
it's your
The
choice.
wonderful news.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I have to say, the new superintendent, Dr. Mickelson, is amazing. She's hitting the ground running. I mean, we have some difficult things ahead of us. So she's already laying the groundwork, because we're looking at having to cut somewhere between $20 and $30 million this year. And so, she's already doing what she can to engage with staff, our employee groups, families and students, about how are we going to cut this? Because it's gonna hurt regardless, but we're trying to do it the right way. Some of our data that just came out from the state, some things are looking better, attendance still continues to be an issue. That's something that we, are needing to look at and work on. The good news, one of our teachers will be awarded, she's already been awarded, but she'll be recognized tomorrow night at our board meeting at the CMA, the Country Music Awards. She got, essentially school music educator of the year, so that'll be really great. Trying to think what else. Our CTE students, they built the medical building that is over at Everyone Village. So Everyone Village
Oh, I like
is
that,
where
yeah.
unhoused people go and they can be able to transition with medical needs. So there's a clinic on site that has doctors and nurse practitioners and nurses. And our CTE students built the building in the Sound Medical Clinic, which is really cool because the kids are able to see like in real time what they made and how it's going to directly affect their community. So those are some good things. I know tomorrow night we're looking at our first read of the cell phone policy, personal electronic device policy. So we'll see how that goes. But there was a lot of engagement early on in the year with the students, with families and staff about how are we gonna make this work. So, but I'm really pleased with our new superintendent, but it's gonna be a hard year. 30 million is a lot of dollars.
You gave some pretty hefty raises there.
Yeah, so, and we're still in the process of bargaining with OSEA, our classified, so
Yeah.
not through that yet, but we're hoping for a very positive outcome.
And Superintendent Miller, thank you for coming, representing the SUPs.
Yeah,
And tell us about South Lane.
wow. Let's see, well, this is I've been there, what, 3 months? So I'm not quite the expert yet. This is my 23rd year in education. This is my 13th year as superintendent. Just started at South Lane, and I think, you know, what, and we had our board meeting last night, and so you're getting a little bit of my talk with the board last night is it's like the challenges right now, and that's enrollment, budget, student achievement, I say, and participation, engagement, and then building trust. I mean, it's like it's the work, but even where I sit in talking about this stuff, I also see it as an opportunity. It's like, it's not the stuff to shy away from, it's the stuff that we lean into and we get after it. And we're gonna be better off for it. Yes, they are challenges. Our enrollment's down. And I don't know if budgets are matching where we're sitting either, so we're looking, you know, reconciling budgets and all those pieces.
Is your enrollment down because your population's down?
Yeah, and it seems like it's kind of been, I mean, Sherry would probably know better than I would, it's been a pretty steady decline over the last number of years. So that's one thing we're definitely looking at, but then, you know, I mean, on a positive note, well, okay, achievement, and I say participation because like attendance, we're a lot more, I think, work going on, and I see more enthusiasm. And more, you can see it within the schools too. They are consciously working on improving that, and I'm seeing some very good stuff. Actually, something very positive, I think, for what's going to look like for the year. And just engagement strategies, instructional strategies, some of like the PD that we've had to be on with math and start of the year. You know, I went and sat in the back during some of the PD that we had for our math teachers, and I just sat and stayed because I was like impressed, and I wanted to just stay there and be a part of it. Really around like a lot of discourse and getting kids talking, not just the old sit and get classroom, but how do we get kids talking about it? How do we have our teachers asking the right questions so that they can throughout the lesson be checking on understanding and what kids know, having kids learn from each other, making sure they understand. So a lot of, and yes, a lot of it's centered around math, but it's actually good for all contents. You know, and when I like achievement and I actually say achievement participation because it's really, we got to start to do some more work around. We all know it's a test score, that's the published piece, right? That's a big headline. And like sharing some data last year, like our 11th grade math, what was it, like 3 years ago, we had 75% of the students participate. 2 years ago, it was 55%. Last year, it's 45% you participated. So that means 55% are right off the bat non-pass. And I can only imagine if I were an 11th grader and I was one of those 45% left in the room, motivation probably goes down, right? Like, how important really is this? And so we got to start doing some work around like really building that understanding of our community about there's pride in the community, and let's show it. Let's have take the assessment. But the way our state system is set up, it's kind of a design fail. The way it is, but we have to do our best to keep improving that. Let's see, CTE, I hear that, you know, we've got a lot of work going there, and actually we've got that Lane Community College outpost down there, which has kind of been, sounds like kind of dormant for a while. We're really sparking up some talks to try and get more, I mean, it's high school campus, it's like, why is this not in use more?
The dental clinic has really been popular.
Yes,
Just as-
yeah. So doing some work there, even like around CTE and like more health occupations type opportunities for kids, certifications to come out of high school with and go straight into employment. So some pretty cool stuff. I mean, just some other neat stuff of like, we have like an athletes council that started this year for high school to not just do athletics, but to teach these kids to be leaders. And they came in and did a breakfast for the staff at the high school the first morning. So some just kind of neat synergies going on. Our early learning stuff down in South Lane is really neat to see. But then, you know, for myself too, being new, it's like, I mean, the big piece is just building trust and leadership. I've done this long enough to know you don't just get it, you gotta earn it. And so just keep earning it day in and day out and doing the job, be doing the work, being visible and out in the community. I'm the 5th superintendent there since 2018.
So did some poor hiring.
So there's some work to be done. I mean, I had no illusion coming in. I knew what I was getting into, but that's just the work. And so we just dig in and get it done. Plus we have 4 of 7 new board members too. So we've got a fairly new board. So a lot of our work this year too is just going to be centered around like a lot of listening around the community and starting to build a shared vision for the future. Not on my words, not even on the board's words, but the words of our community, and it really centered around their vision for what we are as schools in the community. So it's like there's a lot of challenges, but it's the good work. It's like the kids are going to be coming every day, regardless, and doesn't matter what the budget is or what the problems are. We're going to keep doing our best to provide the best for these students. I'm excited. I mean, it's neat to be part of Lane. This is my first, in all my years, I've always been in Lindbergh and Lincoln. So it's interesting to, you know, even be within the same systems and ESD, they're similar, but they're different. And so it's just learning all the nuances of South Lane and Lane. But then actually kind of neat to see, like, you know, I guess with you guys, my neighbor to the north up here in Crestwell now, nice to meet you. My wife works at 4J. And then Mackenzie. So prior to this, I was superintendent at San Am. We went through the fires too. So I lived through the fires and worked through the fires very closely with Lane. And so us and Phoenix Talent, we kind of formed like a brotherhood during that of times when there was nobody in the city who could help us. There was nobody. There was nobody who knew what to do to help us. And so it's kind of like, wait, what are you doing? Wait, I don't know, but we need to get together and we got to figure this out and let's just be a team. So it's kind of neat to be down here and now I get to work a little more closely with Lane. So yeah, appreciate it and glad to be here.
Thank you.
I think everything I've heard, you know, great job.
Well, I still gotta prove it. Hold me to it. Hold me to it.
I don't have to do much proving.
We have, you know,
Stick
a
to
lot
your building
of
of
parents
trust.
come about Lincoln and what they felt like bullying is, you gotta start with that, the parents, because the kids were just mimicking what the parents are like. And the parents have to want their kids to go to school and behave and be good citizens and not that way.
Yeah, I think we as adults sometimes don't give our kids the best example.
We don't.
And then we don't want to hold them to a higher standard.
Yeah,
Sometimes we
yeah.
hold ourselves.
So everything I hear, you're doing a great job. So thank you.
I remind you that a week from today, the OSBA regional meeting, we are hosting here beginning at 5 o'clock with dinner. And I think the program is what to expect from the legislature, right?
Well, we scheduled a pre-session So OSBA says they can come out and give us some information about social media and communications. And so that's probably the hottest topic that's been out there, at least it was when they announced it, so 5 to 6, the OSBA will run a little session on that, dinner's at 6, and then the regular program starts at 6.
And
We have about 50 board members signed up, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's at 52.
52.
And then on November 6th to 9th, we have the Portland Convention. Do you need anything from anyone, Maria?
Just one of our directors is still following up, so, but we're in communication.
Nicole's going? I don't think I've signed up this year.
No, last meeting you had said that that it was a no, but we could reconnect.
No, I'm not going.
Oh.
Are you ready?
Thank you.
Adjourn.
I like the capital. I feel like we need that. Close one year as like a board appreciation.